This is Real Talk with Brendan Bardick, where we'll be talking about the latest real estate strategies, scripts, top producing techniques, and everything you're going to want to know about how to be an elite real estate agent or real estate coach, or just a great business person. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second part of how to find, list, and sell 100 plus homes each and every year. We know we have a bunch more people. I think we have almost 200 or 250 some odd people joining us today, but they'll be getting here. You guys are on time, so I'm going to respect your time and we're going to get started. So I am Brendan Bardick with Brendan Bardick Real Estate Coaching, where our mission is to train the most elite real estate agents and coaches on earth. In addition, I am the owner and CEO of the Bardick Group at Keller Williams Real Estate, where we're currently the #1 real estate team in Denver. And in addition, also I'm the owner and operating principal of Keller Williams Integrity Real Estate, which we have about 200 fantastic agents at that office that are getting, that are having amazing businesses and getting better every day. So I always tell this story very quickly, but I started out as an assistant to a top producing agent, got into real estate, not even thinking I was going to go into property management. I went from assistant to agent to assistant to buyer's agent to on a team to individual agent to starting my own team to then taking that team to a point where now we have an amazing director of sales and director of operations that runs that team, and I'm not, necessarily selling on a day-to-day basis. I do sell every day, funny enough though, but only by choice, which is a nice place to be in. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of that today and talk about, again, the listings that I'm taking, the virtual listing appointments that I'm on, past clients that are reaching out to me and how I'm working with them, how we're lead generating for some of these listings. But today's main focus is going to be how to list these properties, either virtual or live, because that will come back at some point. And I know some of you are out there still doing it live anyway. So we're going to talk about both of those. My co-host and amazing counterpart, so Anna McKeel. Anna, can you please take them through how this webinar is going to work and some best practices, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. We're so happy to have you with us today. Just a couple of things about how this webinar will go. We are recording this session and we will provide a link to this recording. So you'll get the presentation slides through the recording after the presentation is completed. I will be here every step of the way to answer any questions as they come up throughout the presentation. So feel free to either unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can simply pop those questions into the chat box. Throughout the presentation, I'll be providing some links and supportive information as Brendan goes through his content. So feel free to keep an eye on that, as there'll be some additional resource for you there. And then after the presentation, we'd love to connect with you on social media. So please feel free to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and through our podcast, Real Talk with Brendan Bardick. And I'll also provide our email address if you'd like to connect that way. Other than that, have a great time and let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Brendan, go ahead.
Thank you so much. All right. So we're going to jump right in because I want to make a very effective use of this time. And we're going to go right into exactly what you're going to need to do to list 100 plus homes a year. So yesterday was how to find them. We talked about my top 20 buckets. Today is going to be how to list them. And then tomorrow, it's going to be how to sell them. So marketing techniques, pricing adjustments, the daily cadence, what happens behind the scene, what you should be doing behind the scene to get your properties the most exposure right now with the COVID situation, different clauses. And we're going to talk about all that fun stuff. But today, how to list. All right, so let's jump in. All right, so the first part about how to list 100 plus homes a year starts at the very initial phone call. So the pre-listing lead sheet is a sheet that we've developed that I'm sure we copied or borrowed from several other lead sheets that we felt was customized to our specific needs, that really takes you through making sure on the phone call you're not missing a single piece of information A successful listing presentation is all about having as much info as possible before you either go virtual with your appointment or meet these clients in person. So the more information we have, you're going to have a light years more success once you're on the actual appointment. So to do that, we need to gather this information. This sheet, you should have this on your desk, printed out, or a form of it. Ours is great, but make sure you have and this will be on our Facebook page for you to download, and we give all of these items out to you so you can have great success. But you're going to want to go through this. Now, this isn't a perfect script. You can script this as you wish. Perfect script meaning that this isn't meant to be a script. These are qualifying questions. The first question that you'll see, which is pretty simple, are you already working with an agent? That's where we start, right? So boom, end of story. If they're working with an agent or not, we go on from there. I'm not going to go through every one of these by any means, but there's some that jump out on here. Now, what we're also trying to do is get a temperature for motivation, right? You can meet the nicest couple on earth, you can meet the nicest seller, but if they're not motivated to sell, it's gonna be a nightmare trying to get this thing to the finish line. For sell by owners are a perfect example of this. Retired couple, hey, you know what, Brendan? Hey, we don't care when we sell. We just, we want to get our price, right? I hear this for sell by owners all the time. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't work with them, but you've got to dial into that motivation and ask some more questions to really see if they're going to be able to work with you or not, okay? Now, you also see number 9, the DISC. So the DISC profile. I need to profile this person to figure out who am I dealing with when I'm on the Zoom call, what that's going to look like, or in person, so I know the kind of person that I'm going to be presenting to. If they're fast-paced, if they're cautious, if they're high I and they're all about the social aspect and who I am as a person, I'm going to want to know those things. So could you have 50 questions on here? Sure, you could. Could you have 100? Absolutely. The more you know, the better appointment you're going to have. Again, the nurse, before you go to see the doctor, she's going to take all your vital signs, make sure she knows as much as she can so she doesn't waste the doctor's time when he walks in there. They already ask you how you're feeling, what's causing your ailment, what is all of this. It's the same sort of concept, okay? So we need to make sure that we have that pre-listing sheet completely filled out accurately, okay? All right, now let's talk a little bit about matching, mimicking, neurolinguistic programming. Now, we talked about the DISC profile in our List Like a Boss class. We go into the DISC profile. Matching, mimicking, neurolinguistics. Now, when I'm on the phone with this person, I'm sure you've heard this and people go, I know what it is. Brendan's going to tell me, I get it, that I'm supposed to talk like them, act like them. But what I notice a lot, though, is we're not doing that, right? People are listening to this and they're saying, yeah, I should get good at matching and mimicking. And then you get on the phone with a client and you go, hey, this is Roger. Hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh, hi, Roger. How are you? And you're not mimicking them. You're still sounding like yourself because you think that that's all that matters. Matching and mimicking is just a way to make the other person feel comfortable. And you have to do this on the phone. They talk slow, you talk slow. They talk fast. Hey, let's get this going. You talk fast. And the better you get at this, you'll notice your conversion will go through the roof. This is what high-performing, top-producing agents practice all the time. Now, where do you practice? Role play. You don't practice this when you get on the phone. You go, you know what? This person sounds like he's from India. I'm going to throw my Indian accent and see how that goes, right? That's probably not going to work. It's going to come off very weird and very inauthentic, right? So you've got to practice these styles, these matches. And remember, on the phone, communication, verbal communication, they're only going to receive 7% of you. 7% is verbal communication. 93% is hand gestures, feelings, the look, how I'm experiencing you. So that means you've got to be so amped up on the phone, right? So you're standing up at your stand-up workstation, you're bouncing around, you're pacing, you're talking, oh my gosh, you have 3 dogs. I love dogs. I can't believe you have 3 dogs. I love dogs. What kind of dogs are they? Oh my gosh, what are their names? Your energy is going to build that bond. that's going to happen. People want to work with people that are like them, and people also want to work with people that are excited and motivated and sound like they care about the job they're going to be doing. Okay. So matching, mimicking, neurolinguistics. There's one recommendation I can do. Study this subject. We get paid an exorbitant amount of money as real estate professionals, in my opinion, to be master presenters. That's what we get paid to do. We either present for a listing presentation, present for a buyer presentation, present when we're presenting an offer, present when we're presenting an inspection objection. And the better and more comfortable you make people feel, the higher rate of success you're going to have, right? So it's a very big subject that people overlook. Okay, next up, we're going to send a pre-listing package or a pre-listing email, which I'm going to show you here in a moment for the Zoom call. So here's everything you need to have for the pre-listing package. Question that I get a lot, are we still sending pre-listing packages during this COVID situation? The answer is yes. We still feel comfortable sending mail to people with our listing presentation, what we call our marketing plan of action, sample marketing, the CMA you can send, right? Now, I'll talk to you a little bit about the CMA, okay? The CMA you're gonna send in your pre-appointment email, but you may not wanna send a CMA in a pre-appointment or a pre-listing package. Now, the reason is if you send the CMA in the pre-listing package, you may, if you forgot anything, a comp or something like that, it may have a bigger effect than if you sent it ahead of time on the pre-email for a Zoom call. Because if they are, we know two things. If I get something in my hand, I'm a lot more likely to read it. Your pre-listing email, very low chance they're going to go through your CMA. You're all excited. You spent 17 hours on it. You're like, oh my gosh, I created this master CMA. The odds of them actually flipping through that in a digital link are about 2%, right? So don't get all upset about that. But if you send it to them in person, they're probably going to flip through it. And if they see that you didn't have the neighbor's house across the street that just went up for sale, some comp in there, and you haven't been able to go on the appointment yet, it may affect your ability and they may not think you're a professional and may want to cancel it. So pre-listing package in real life, I don't send the CMA. Pre-listing email, I send the CMA, okay? Digital listing presentation issue link, we're going to talk about that here in a second and when I show you the email. And then sample marketing. Now remember, with sample marketing, here's a pro tip. You don't have, if you're new to real estate or newer and you don't have amazing marketing that you've sold 12 houses in their neighborhood, just create beautiful sample marketing that says your house, 123 Elm Street, sample, use beautiful stock footage and show them what you'd like them to see, the type of marketing you're going to do for their home. Instead of, I know, we used to keep in our old office, we would have this massive, those old school filing cabinets that were, 4,000 pounds. And we would have every brochure saved that we sold from every house until we ended up having 17 different of these filing cabinets. It doesn't work. People didn't care, right? They didn't care that again, this picture of the house happened to sell in their neighborhood. They didn't care enough. They cared to see the type of marketing you were doing. So throw away your old filing cabinets, have beautiful. Now, with your sample marketing, you're going to want a couple of different styles. You're going to want single family, so sample marketing for a single family home, sample marketing for a condo, so a high-rise condo. You're going to want sample marketing for a townhome because you do want some form of fashion to show the difference there. Sample marketing for luxury, because that's a different piece. So then you want to go to the next up level of a sample marketing. And then you can, if you're doing land or farm, you would want land or farm sample marketing, right? So just a picture of you on a tractor, okay? So sample marketing is very important. Now, the next thing that goes with that is sample postcard. So you want a beautiful postcard that you're going to show them that I'm going to mail out to all of your neighbors, and don't put on there, hey, we just sold this. You don't put your just sold, hey, we just sold this home and we have buyers looking to buy your home. You want to really put in that description, that sample description, all the beautiful marketing verbiage that you're going to use to send out to all of their neighbors. Now, we know some of you are going to send that to 50 people. Some of you are going to send it to the whole neighborhood. Again, this is for your pre-marketing package to get them into the idea of how good you are, okay? And Now, flyer versus brochure depends on your budget. If it's a luxury property, we have a beautiful three-page brochure. If it's under $350,000 property, we use a flyer. Just because flyers are $50, brochures are $150. Always trying to save money. The best business people are protectors of profit, right? So make sure you're being smart about your money, okay? All right, now, next, we're gonna send the email to our client or mail the package out. Now, with the email I'm gonna talk about here, always BCC yourself, and then set a calendar reminder to alert yourself 30 minutes prior to the appointment. So now the email goes to your inbox, you're gonna click on it, send a reminder so it pops up 30 minutes prior to your appointment, okay? Next, oh, my clicky thing is not working. There we go. All right, and this is what the email should look like, all right? So Anna, would you be so kind to read that for me?
Sure. Good afternoon, John. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I look forward to our Zoom meeting at 4 p.m. today. Please find the link to our marketing plan of action below. It outlines exactly what steps I will take to net you the most money possible for the sale of your home. I included the most recent comparative market analysis for your property, as well as a preview to both our print and video sample marketing. The direct link to our 4 p.m. video conference is located below. I attached a few Zoom best practices to help you get set up. Please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions you might have. Before our meeting, please take the 15 best photos of your home and upload them into a Google Drive link I provided below. This will help me gain a clear visual and understanding of your home and allow me to provide you with the most relevant comparative market analysis. Please also provide me notes with any upgrades you've done to your home, as well as any structural or material issues you think may affect the overall value. For example, a cracked roof, a hole in the wall, etc.
Beautifully done. Give her a virtual hand for being a great reader and absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And the reason I have her read that is because a lot of people, I completely know and understand that you're listening to this. You've got kiddos running around. I get it. I can't say how impressed that I am just that you're on here. So if you're doing homeschooling right now, you're a saint. I get it. Well, I don't get it. I appreciate it, but gosh bless you. Well done. So that's why we read it out. Okay. Now, then you have your Google Drive link, right? So this is a very important piece. You want to make sure that they can upload to this. If they're not that technical, right, you just know it and you can ask them. So one of my qualifying questions, so, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or I never say Mr., but John and Susie, hey, John, so about how technically, advanced are you? If I were able to send you a Google Drive, could you load some photos up to that? And if they go, a what? Then that's not going to work. So I go, hey, can you go around your house, take some pictures and shoot me some text pictures of your home prior to our appointment? That could easily work. So it doesn't have to be the Google Drive, but the Google Drive makes life a lot easier if you can get them to do that. So take their temperature on how technical they are or not, okay? Then your Zoom meeting, Zoom accounts are free. We know that now because all of you are here, congratulations. CMA, so you'll have the CMA in digital issue format already prepared, the marketing plan of action, and then sample video marketing if you're providing sample video marketing, right? We have a beautiful video that's a sample one that, shows the aerial and, dun, 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 all this music, if it's for the right price point, right? That video could cost us anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, depending on type of property. I'm not gonna send that to what I call a dumpster fire in Commerce City. And I always pick on Commerce City because it's Commerce City. So if you live in Commerce City, I know those beautiful parts. I'm just joking. Get over it. Okay. All right. So moving on. That's the email. And then you have attachments there with your sample print marketing and your sample brochure. So pay attention to those two attachments. Okay. Next up. Oh, it's not working. All right. Our pre-appointment checklist. Right? So our pre-appointment checklist. Now, this means that we need to open up, if it's virtual, our email 30 minutes prior to the appointment. We need to have on our desktop estimated net sheets ready and already prepared so we can easily screen share those. And get used to this. Practice a little bit, right? Get used to going from screen to screen, practicing your stuff. You need to have any other PDF documents that you're going to show them ready. You're going to need, let's see, your transition to close sheet, which I'm going to show you that here in a second. to make sure that you're prepared to take the order once you start going into our, what we call our soft close, which, you know, works very effectively. So I'll show you that secret close here at the end. And then listing agreement, you're going to have CTM open and your listing agreement already completed. You do not send this ahead of time. This is done as you're on the phone with them, and everything should be done except for inclusions, exclusions, and price, right? That's the last two things that you're going to dial in. Then you're just going to, boom, put those two numbers in there, hit the save button, shoot them that link. I'll show you how we do this in real time. And ta-da, they're going to sign it, and you now have another listing. Congratulations, okay? Know your list price. Make sure you've done your research. Go into this confident. If you know it's $750, then go in at $750 and make sure you're understanding that. And then allow them to, work with you on explaining why it's not $750 and go from there. Don't go into it. I see a lot of agents go into these listing appointments and they're like, oh, John, what do you want to sell it for? That is the question in a way. It's said better than that. But when you ask the question, you're allowing them to really guide you on what the pricing can be. And you have no idea what you should be defending the pricing on to make sure that you're getting this at a price that's going to cause it to sell and not just sit there forever. Okay. And make sure you have your on-screen calculator ready. Okay. This is in your little app store or a little app button on your computer. You can have a regular one if you just want to show them in your web camera. That's fine too if you're not proficient at doing it on your computer. But you're going to need to do some quick calculations of net sheets and be a great presenter. Make this fun. Make this enjoyable. Make them go like, wow, this is somebody that I know if he can do this in this virtual environment, he's going to get my house sold in this virtual environment. So you might think it's overkill. It's not overkill. What you're doing right now, if you think this is overkill, is underkill. I guarantee it. Okay. So focus on those things. All right. Now we're going to prepare for the appointment. Okay. And in our preparation, there's two sides to this, virtual and then in real life. Okay. The preparation is probably more important than anything else. Now, if you are doing this in real life, you're going to, and I'm going to take you through these steps, right? You're going, if you're going to do this digitally, we'll start with that one first. You're going to send the confirmation email a minimum of 4 hours before the scheduled Zoom. Okay. You're going to get everything ready and packaged up and sent to them. And now make sure you test this. If you have a buddy, a role play partner, a family member, my recommendation is to pick the most technically troubled person in your world. I had to PC that for a second, right? The person that is the least techie in your life, and have them, go through this process with you so you can hit those hurdles, and you're going to be like fumbling around trying to click from this to that and all of that. Make sure you can do this at a high level. Now, the other pro tip is make sure you set the expectation for how this appointment's going to work with them on the phone. All right. Now, build a connection. So make sure you're interacting with the camera as you would a person. So test the camera out. Eye contact is key. I see, some people, thank you for the people that are on video today. It means a lot to see your faces. It really makes the class a lot more enjoyable for myself. But when you're on there, if your camera's here and you're looking this way and you're looking down, or I see people, I don't know if their camera's on your ceiling. I think you attach it to your ceiling somehow. People are like way, way up here, right? Remember, this is an interview. You're interviewing for $1 million job. This one client could be that one client that leads to you selling that entire neighborhood. That one client could have 16 friends that that she's the queen or king of that friend group that's going to recommend you to all of them, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer. So come with it from that level of passion. Don't go, all right, yeah, it's another $100,000 listing in Aurora, blah, blah, blah. Be like, yeah, I've had $100,000 listings in Aurora where the guy owned 45 properties, and now I've done my 9th, 10th home with that, or investment property with them. But I had no idea on the initial meeting that he had that kind of portfolio, probably because I didn't do enough research. But so make sure you're doing that. Virtually scout the neighborhood, aerials, use Google Maps, Street View. The more you have talking points, perfect example. I was on the phone the other day with a client, and I was like, wow, that big tree in the front yard, that thing is amazing, right? And it was like, and I see, because I could even see from the Google Street View that it had a rope swing on it. I was like, you guys still use that rope swing? She's like, oh my gosh, it's one of our favorite parts of the house. We've had da 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 da. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. right? It builds rapport, it builds connection. If you know that they back up to a train, again, you may not want to bring a higher level attention to that, but if they back up to a park, if they back up to whatever it is, just make sure you know about the property so you can act like an expert. So, all right. Then dress to impress, right? You're on an appointment. You need to look sharp. You need to look smooth. Make sure you have the right lighting. Again, I know some of us love the virtual backgrounds. Virtual backgrounds are cool to an extent, but if your head's going in and out of a green space and all this stuff, it's going to be distracting. So do what you can. It just depends on your level of tech. Some of you don't have the right computer to be doing digital backgrounds. I can tell you that because I've seen them. Some of you look great, okay? Take off the PJs and remember, business on top, do whatever you want below. All right. Now, you're going to get on this Zoom conference 10 minutes early, make sure everything's ready to rock and roll. You want to up the game? I'm sure you were all enjoying the awesome dance music I was playing for you earlier, right? You could have some soft jazz playing. You could have whatever it's going, and that's just feeding into the microphone, right? Making sure things are ready to go for this experience. The greatest presentation you're ever going to deliver in your entire life is going to happen tomorrow at 4 o'clock, right? Okay. So in your browser, you're going to have CTM open, a Google link with the home images, or the text up with all the home images, the digital presentation. Now, if they don't send you pictures, you don't have pictures, you can still do this presentation. I've listed and sold maybe not hundreds, at least probably 50 to 60 homes over the course of my career where I never saw the house, just never saw it. So that is not, get out of your head that you need to go and see this property. That is not a big concern. The photographer is going to go out at some point and see this property if we feel comfortable sending the photographer, or they can take pictures themselves that you're going to use temporarily until you can get a photographer in there, depending on where this climate goes, right? 2 weeks ago, we couldn't have photographers in there. Next week, we might be able to have a party in there. Who knows what's going to happen, right? But we got to act as if we couldn't do it. If that's the case, and we're looking at the photography, we can set the listing and pricing once we have photography back in some form or fashion. It doesn't matter for your CMA. It doesn't matter. People go, well, how can you give them a price recommendation without seeing the quality and condition of the house? Very simply, right? You don't need to see a house to price it. You need to understand the comps, the comparables, what the averages are. And then based on the condition, once you see the photography, you'll make your final adjustment before taking the property active to the market. Okay? You don't need photos to price a home. Got it? All right, cool. All right, when sharing your screen, make sure your desktop is clear, right? No one cares that you were the bowling champion of 1997. You've got your trophies on your desktop. No one cares that you like all this weird stuff. Clear that off. Mine's just black. It just makes it a lot easier, so I don't have to cause any dramatic, just make your back, it's not about you. Remember, it's about them, okay? Take control of the Zoom meeting, hide all distractions, no kids, you get this. Don't leave this Zoom without a signed listing agreement. We're gonna talk about closings. I carved out an entire amount of time for this call, so we can talk about how to close on a Zoom or in person, because that was one of the feedbacks we got, is that people really wanted to dive into that. So if that's if you want to know, I'm going to give you every trick, tip, secret, tool, technique, style that I've done from doing all of these appointments, and hopefully they'll help you. All right. Now, for all of these 10 keys to close resources, you can find us at Brendan Bardick Real Estate Coaching. You can check out our podcast, Real Talk with Brendan Bardick. She already told you that. The YouTube video, if you want to understand the scripts and all these techniques on to close, I'm releasing video after video on how these scripts are great. The script is great. The nuance of the scripts are very difficult to understand without getting a little bit more education. So go to the YouTube channel, understand those. In the comment box, if you have requests for things that you want specifically, let me know. I'll drop a video just for you, okay? And we'll dive right into those things. So let's go with, now it's time. It's showtime, baby. It's time to go. We're ready to rock, right? So we're ready to go. We're all set, mindset. We're jacked up, right? We had our Red Bulls and all of this fun stuff. I drink green tea. I have like 60 green teas a day. That's why I'm amped all the time. So you got your green tea. You're ready to go. and you're ready to put on the show or presentation of your life, okay? Now, to prep for the show, you are going to need a CMA. This is not a CMA class. This is not, we teach a CMA class that's coming up on our class schedule, and we'll get that out to you, but this isn't a CMA class. You're going to have for your CMA a map page, market stats, 2 to 3 actives, priced lowest to highest, 2 to 3 under contracts, priced lowest to highest, 4 to 6 solds, priced lowest to highest, one single line stat page, an intelligent pricing and timing sheet, which I'm going to show you here, and we also provide to you. I have tried Cloud CMA, Market Toolkit, 50 other types of CMA things. None of them worked, right? And the reason is because they gave a lot of ranges on pricing, right? They gave a lot of different ranges, and I didn't want ranges. I wanted to provide information, and it was very important to me to do it in a very specific form or fashion that took the seller on the story of where I wanted them to end up, which was a logical decision on where to price the property. And that word logical, as you know, a lot of you have been out on these appointments, is, that's the hardest part, is getting them to be logical and not emotional. You spent your entire life fixing up your house. You spent your entire life doing all of these things, and you have so much emotional tie to it that you can't, our goal as professional real estate agents is to get them to the side of logic, and that this is a business decision, not an emotional decision, right? So that's the CMA, okay? So we're gonna make sure that that's ready to rock. Now, intelligent pricing. So let me take this one step back, and we'll come back to the intelligent pricing here for just a second. I'll leave it up there so you can take a look at it. But when I'm on the Zoom, right, the first step of what I'm going to do once I get them on the Zoom is I'm going to open up some dialogue and go back and confirm their goals, what I had on that lead sheet. So the first question would be, so Anna, you know what? Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about getting your home sold for the most money possible. Anna, can you please tell me the last time you sold a home?
Brendan, it's been about 10 years.
10 years. Okay, that's exciting. And was that here, Anna?
Yeah, it was in Denver.
Here in Denver. Okay, excellent. And Anna, tell me a little bit about that experience. What did you like most about the experience?
There's not a lot to like. I would say the realtor was nice, but the communication was really off most of the time, and the marketing was just so-so.
Marketing was just so-so, and okay, it was just okay. What would you have liked them to do that would have made it an exceptional experience?
Well, I just think that we're in this process together, right? So having really good communication is important to me. Feeling like there's a connection with that person is really important because, I mean, this is my home, right? I've spent a lot of time working on it. So it's important to have a good connection and good communication.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely understand. Thank you. Now, as I've said before, there's a whole nother part about on List Like a Boss where we take this in full detail. I'm not going to go right then, hey, I'm good at communication. Hey, and I'm also not going to go, hey, this or that. I'm going to store those in the back of my head and go, I'm going to drop little nuggets throughout this conversation that are going to make sure I'm hitting those points because those are her trigger points. Another question that I'm going to ask is, Anna, if it was the perfect situation, when would you like to have this home sold and be in your new home?
I mean, I think we're really on a time crunch. So I'd say sooner rather than later.
Excellent. Sooner rather than later. Perfect. So after we go through everything today, basically we could be ready to hit the market this coming weekend. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would love that.
Right. That nuance right there is just already assuming the close, right? She just made a mental shift that quick and that fast that we're already going to be going to do this process this weekend, right? So as you get smooth with this and practice and role play, this will get a lot better. So now I've done that. The next part on the virtual is you could go through the photos and ask them if you had questions about the photos. So if they were bad photos or if you're using the photos, you could do that. And now the next thing you're going to say is, well, Anna, have you had a chance to review the email and the comparative market analysis that I sent over to you yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I had a brief chance to look at it, but I definitely have a number in mind for the house for listing price.
Excellent. I'm glad you do. That makes my life so much easier. And so, Anna, what price would you like to list the home at for it to sell in the next 30 days?
I mean, really, all in, I think a really strong starting point would be about 500,000.
$500,000. Okay. Okay. Excellent. And looking at the comparables, Anna, and now you would have your CMA open. Now you could either flip to the stat page or you could just do this conversationally. Now let's go under the assumption that I feel that she should sell at 450 or 475, just for the sake of this role play, right? Okay. And all the comps are screaming that, right? They're saying, so Anna, completely understand you want to receive $500,000 for the home. It looks like the average of all of the homes in your neighborhood that have sold have been at $450,000. I'd love to sell it at 500 as well. Can you please tell me how to get there?
Well, I just have put in so much work to this house. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a true labor of love, and we just need every dollar. So it seems like, can't we just start there and make a price adjustment if we have to?
Oh my gosh, Anna, I'm glad you asked that exact question. So now we go to this page that's in front of you right now. So Anna, we could, and if you have your cursor, right, you could be circling and showing them this, and you can draw with the Zoom call. So Anna, my concern is that market value in your neighborhood right now is telling us that homes are selling at about 450,000. Now, for every 10% or 15% we go up in asking price, we lose almost 30% of the buyer pool or more, right? So we don't want to be at the very top, Anna, and we don't want to give your home away down here. We want to be right in this sweet middle of the triangle here, which is what we call at or below market value. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Right. And I know you had mentioned something about listing high and coming down later. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, and exactly. And that's why, and many of my sellers do. And that's why, as a professional here to guide you through this process, it's important to understand time on market and how it affects the value of your home. Now, we know that you're going to have the most activity in the first 2 to 3 weeks of being on the market. Now, in this virtual world, it's almost really the first week. So the concern is after the first week, if we don't have a buyer for your property, the interest and activity level will decline dramatically, as you can see here in weeks 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then what agents try to do that are bad agents that don't price properties correctly, they come back to you and try to tell you need to do a price reduction to try to pump blood back into the property, and you'll get a little bit of a spur of interest, but you'll never get back to this big point here in the first week or two that we were on the market. And again, Anna, as you told me before, it's very important for you to get every dollar for the home possible, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We can't
Yeah.
afford otherwise.
And Anna, that's why our pricing strategy is so important. And taking that one step further, Anna, are you familiar with internet pricing strategies?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, yeah, let me fill you in. So basically with our internet pricing strategy, we know that people look at the internet and look for homes in $50,000 segments, right? I think you even told me that because I know you're looking to move to Wash Park and you were saying that, you wanted to be, 950 to 100,000 or 900 to 100,000, right? You said something, I remember from when we set up the search, right?
Mhm.
Well, so does the rest of the buyers. And it's very rare, Anna, as you would agree, that a buyer gets pre-qualified at 505,000, correct?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so.
No, it usually doesn't really make that much sense. So if we're priced at 450, we're going to get everybody looking from 400 to 450 and everybody 450 to 500. Because I know you had said earlier, and again, I'm just role playing, you had said something about maybe wanting to list at 475, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The problem with 475 is we're going to miss all of those buyers that were looking from 400 to 450 on the internet. And we know that here in Park Hill, we're role playing, here in Park Hill for this segment, that's one of the biggest searched price points in the entire area. So I would hate to have you lose that entire segment because you're trying to price the home over what it needs to be at for market value. because you'd like to get both of those markets seeing your home, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
More buyers,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Right. So then based on what the market's telling us, 450,000 would be the accurate listing price for your home, correct?
Okay.
Excellent. Well, good. So now we've got agreement on price. Yes. Next, we go on to estimated net sheets. All right. So if we don't come to an agreement on price, I just turn off the computer. That's it. Right? I'm just kidding. I don't turn off the computer. But I would say to them, if we can't get to somewhere that I think is logical and that I think is not enough risk for me to take that property. So if she just said, if I know everything's competent at 450 and she wants to go at 500, well, I list the home at 500. I get this question all the time. The answer is, it depends. It really is a gray area. It depends on if I think that they're going to be logical and I can really get them down later. It depends on how much competition there is in the neighborhood. It depends on the quality of their home. It depends on if I'm going to be able to show it easily. There's about 1,000 different parameters that go into that decision. If I was a new agent and I was broke, would I do it? No. And people go, well, that's when you need every listing. No, you don't. That's when you take on a big cost that you're going to spend a lot of outbound money on that's not going to sell, and you're not going to be able to carry it over time, and you're going to lose because you're not good enough at doing price adjustments, price reductions, and all of that. So that's the different story there, right? So don't think you need to take something and just because then what I'm going to do is myself or my team is going to call it after it expires, relist it at the right price and get it sold. That's not what you want, okay? So estimated net sheets. Now, we did our estimated net sheets at 475. If during this I'm pushing 450 and she doesn't agree to 450, is it okay to go to 475? Heck yeah, it is. I just got it $25,000 closer to reality. That's a lot better than just going at the beginning. Yeah, I'll take 500. Does that make sense? I see some people nodding. Okay. Yeah, guys, these nuances will separate you from selling 20 to 60 houses. I guarantee it, right? Your appointment and conversion level will increase so dramatically. And then your sale ratio, because another thing that you want to always be cognizant of is your list price to sell ratio. I would always rather be a hero and have multiple offers than be a zero and have no offers. Be the hero in this situation. Always be the hero, okay? So 3 net sheets, 4.5, 5, and 6, right? So again, you see 4.5 here, 4.5, and I'll give you the pitch. It's super easy. So great, Anna, now that we've decided on $475,000 as your list price, let me back up one question. People always ask me, so you already had the net sheets done? Isn't that going to be shocking to them when you show them the estimated net sheet already at the price you want to be at? No, it's not at all, right? So when I present these, I know that I'm a professional. Now, if we'd agree to 475 and I have net sheets at 500, I don't pull out these net sheets online or in person. I would just talk to them about 475 and do quick math right there. I'm not going to go down. Normally, I would have net sheets probably prepared at 450,000 if I think the house is worth 475, so I can just throw $25,000 on top of that. Okay. People get really jumbled about estimated net sheets, and I get tons of questions. It's probably one of the biggest things I get questions on. Estimated net sheets are all about finesse. If you look at this, you're saying it right now, if you're looking at the screen, why don't you have the escrow fee and transfer tax and all of these things on there, right? Because it's an estimate, right? I'm doing estimated net sheets. I'm not giving them the actual closing statement. I want mine to look as clean as possible. I'm going to explain verbally that there could be a few other costs associated that shouldn't be more than $500. But again, because of the transfer fee, the release, the courier, all that stuff. But John, Anna, right now, we're just talking about a good estimate so you know you have a good estimate of what you're walking away with, okay? So in the first scenario, when myself or any member of my organization sells your property, the total commission is reduced to 4.5%. Now, if in that instance, you decide, in the second instance, if we have an outside agent bring the buyer, so Sally from Remax, John from whoever, they bring the buyer for your home. And as we've already talked about, Andy, you're going to be purchasing your next home with us here in Wash Park, then total commission is reduced to 5%. Again, giving you a discount for purchasing through us. So I'm excited about that new home in Wash Park. And then in the third situation, if neither of those two things happen, you decide at the last minute to move to Alaska, and for some bizarre reason, an outside agent brings the buyer to your home and you decide to accept that offer. And usually when that happens, Anna, it's because, Sally from Remax's buyer was just willing to offer more than maybe one of my buyers were willing to offer. So again, it would make more sense if they're offering you $485 for your home and my buyer only wants to offer you $450. The commission discount doesn't matter whatsoever because you'd still want to get that other $35,000, correct?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I want you to. I'm not greedy. I'm not trying to get the 4.5% in. I want you to get the highest price possible for the home. Cool?
Yeah.
That last piece of that commission discussion is very important. That's a pro tip you're going to want to listen to, right? You've got to get them in the mindset. This variable commission structure works. It works. Believe me, I've done it. I've tried every other technique, every other style. This is a powerhouse. Now, could you do 5, 6, and 7? Absolutely. Could you do 6, 7, and 8? Let me know when you do, because I know there's agents out there that are doing it. I love hearing that stuff. We decided for us, we'd rather sell more than try to fight on trying to get a higher price. Different companies do 8%, 9%. It would depend on the level of value you're bringing to that seller, okay? So the level of value you bring to that seller is equivalent to how much you can charge. Okay. All right. Net sheets. Next, we're going to go into our listing presentation. So now we've gone through net sheets. We're in agreement. So great, Anna. Now I'm going to take you through and explain exactly what we do to get you the highest price possible. Now, Anna, I already sent this over to you ahead of time yesterday in that prepackaged email or in your pre-listing package. You did have a chance to review everything in there, correct?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, you're super busy. I mean, obviously the house is immaculate, so you must have been cleaning for the last 24 hours. So thank you for that. But let's go through. And now this is where you would highlight some of your value. I don't have every page of our listing presentation in here, but I will show you some samples of what we do. So first of all, leverage what you got. Work with what you got, baby, right? If you're at a big company, sell the big company and leverage every piece of why it's important to be at a massive company. If you're at a boutique, leverage the reasons why a boutique is so important and why that's great. I'm not sure what those are, but if you are, great, right? Use this. When I pitch this page, I go, look, first I'd like to start with why Keller Williams. We're the largest real estate company in North America. We have over 650 offices, not only nationwide, but we're in 22 countries as well. For me as a listing specialist, Anna, the reason this is important to me is because I get referrals all the time for people looking to buy a home in your neighborhood, right? Just the other day, and then tell a story. Just the other day, tell a story. Just the other day, make up a story if you don't have a story. I'm just kidding. Don't make up a story, but make up a story. No, I'm just kidding, right? So this is value on why that the biggest company on earth is so important to them, okay? That's very important. Now, all right, we're number one. And yes, this is an old graph. I get it. I know. Update the graph. If you don't think your competitor's doing this graph in some form of fashion and manipulating the numbers, they are. Every company's manipulating they could be like, we're number one in customer service on Yelp in 80203, but they're not going to say that. They're going to say, we're number one on Yelp, right? And they're just going to say, we're number one on Yelp, right? So, is Keller really number one? Of course we are. Absolutely. I truly know that because I look at all the stats. So leverage what you got. Okay. It's helpful. Now, why is this important to a seller? Because referrals, right? Keller wants to work with Keller. If we have the number one agent count, that means more agents, more referrals, higher chance that I'm going to get a buyer for your house. That's how I explain it to them all the time. Okay. So use that to leverage it. All right. I'm going to save some time here for closing. So talk about your team, right? If you want to have, you're a listing specialist, listing manager, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. Transaction coordinator, marketing, inside sales agents, client experience. If you don't have all of these things, then you are those things. You can still say that they have a transaction coordinator, it just happens to be you, and they're behind the scenes. Yeah, you're never going to talk. If you have a virtual assistant that's a transaction coordinator, that's great. If it's you, it's great. Marketing, you are the director of marketing. I used to reference my director of marketing all the time. It was me. I directed all the marketing, right? So I have a director of marketing. It's just me. Inside sales agent. You're an inside sales agent until you have inside sales. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and be fraudulent. I'm saying this is all it's perception of how you're packaging it. You're taking something that you do that's very simple in your mind and you're making it sound sexy. You're sexying it up so people want to buy it, okay? Before we list, we broke ours down into 3 stages. Before we list, when we list, and after we list. Before we list, when we list, and after we list. So think about your bullet points. If you're using, Keller Williams format, it escapes my name, whatever it's called, but the thing that builds your listing presentation, it's okay. It's great. I mean, it's not great. It's okay. We sell our entire listing presentation system here. So again, if you have interest in that, Anna will post some information or someone will, but we include our entire process on how you can break this down, plug and play, use all of our stuff. Guys, I want all of you out there having success. This isn't, people go, well, Brendan, aren't you giving away our secrets? You think having buyer screening on here is a secret? It's not a secret. Skilled negotiation or negotiation, not a secret. I want you guys to have, there's so much market share to go around. I can imagine everybody on this call, I may have competed with 1 or 2 of you. And if you won, great. If I won, great. That's not what this is about. Let's all get better and sell more houses, right? Especially during this time. We don't need to be worried about being competitive. We need to be worried about taking care of each other. So that's why we do this, okay? All right, next one, internet marketing strategy, okay? You gotta have that in your presentation. You're on 1,800 plus websites. You market on international websites, all that fun stuff. If you have an ISA team, while other agents are waiting, we're working. Before I had ISAs, the line used to say, while other agents are waiting, I'm working. And what I meant is that I was actively lead generating for a buyer for their home every day. So while other agents are waiting, I'm working. That's how you pitch that if you don't have a team or a team of ISAs, okay? Personal concierge, you are the personal concierge. Subscribe to Angie's List, boom, you're a concierge service. You're gonna be able to provide all of these connections for your client anytime, any day. They love it. This is for the high I that's like, Brendan, I'm stressed. I don't know if I can't get everything boxed in time. I don't know what I should paint. I don't know. Oh my gosh, right? Don't worry. Anna, I got you. I'm your personal concierge service. Only thing I want you to be thinking about, Anna, is how much you're going to enjoy living in that new home in Wash Park. I'll take care of everything else. Okay? That's why you have the concierge service. 100% satisfaction guarantee. This is for several reasons. A, because it's the right thing to do, right? If you don't like the level of performance that I provide, you can cancel our agreement at any time. Not like my other competition who locks you into a 6-month, 12-month competition, puts a sign in your yard and hopes and prays that somebody shows up. I put my money where my mouth is. And Anna, again, I think you told me you worked for Microsoft, correct?
Yes.
And Anna, if you didn't do your job at Microsoft very quickly in the first few days, what would they do?
They'd probably fire me. That's
exactly right. And Anna, that's exactly what you should do to me. My entire business is based on integrity and our performance to get you the highest price possible. If we're not doing that, then I shouldn't be working for you. And I think you were saying that you were considering maybe listing with your cousin.
Yeah, she's been in real estate.
Yeah, how's that going to feel when you need to fire your cousin?
Yeah, awkward at the next family barbecue.
Exactly, awkward. Yeah, so we don't want to do that, right? So again, this is the page where you're involved in the community, and that this is, again, you're showing that you're well-rounded. So whatever charity you're involved in, whatever you're involved in giving back, people always laugh. I call this, you're not a scumbag page, right? This is, you're not a scumbag page, and then tell the story. We remodeled a group home for Third Way last year. We donated over $450,000 or helped raise over $450,000. This year, we have a personal mission to donate $70,000 just from our team, not me personally. Right? So we're doing a lot of cool things. Tell your story on why you're not a scumbag. Okay? That's what you need to do. Connect with the person that's the high I, the high S, right? Personalities. Don't take my word for it. Believe everyone else, right? That's this page. And then the last two transition to close page. So I wanted to save this last time here for how to close. All right, this is the easiest transition to close on earth if you master it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the stage. So Anna, so great. I'm glad we went through all that information. Now let's talk about getting the home ready for photography, for professional photography. And I believe we're going to have photography set for Monday at 10 o'clock. But talking about photography, Anna, three things I'd like you to do. Number one, to get ready for the photos is depersonalize. I need you to take your existence out of this home. And from some of the pictures, again, I know you love the NRA. Who doesn't, right? It's great. I have a gun in my pocket right now. But maybe we don't want to have all of your NRA placards and all the rifles and shotguns hung all over the house, right? Some people in Colorado may not think that they can see themselves living in your arsenal, right? So we don't want that. Don't say arsenal, I'm joking because we're role playing, right? But so we want to depersonalize. Number two, we want to declutter. And so I need you to clear all this stuff out, blah, 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 put it in the garage. That can be your staging area. We need to declutter. And number three, I need you to do a full 360 of the property and make sure that anything a buyer could interact with functions and works properly. What we call the $5 to $10 fixes, that door that sticks, that window that jams, that squeaky garage door. And again, I know, thank you for opening that garage door earlier. It sounded like a cat was getting killed, right? We got to let's get some WD-40 on that thing so it's not screaming all as so loud, right? You can say this in a soft, nice way. I'm joking, of course. And I'm kind of not, but so make sure that you want to make this property saleable for you and them so they get the highest price possible, and you're not having to deal with 45 showings that don't like the property because of X, Y, and Z. Now, if you get kickback on this, right? They go, hey, look, I'm ride or die NRA. You either take it or leave it, boy. Then you still can push a little bit harder and say, look, I understand, but let me ask you a question, Anna. Let's say that you walked into a house and it had pictures of Obama all over the wall. Right? It had just a shrine to Obama. Not to say that only NRA people are Republicans. I'm making jokes, right? So be okay. How would you feel when you walked into that house?
Like it's not my house.
Yeah. And would you really want to live in a house that a dirty, Democrat lived in?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So this is the same thing. But think about this in reverse, Anna. We want to get you the highest price for your house, correct?
Yeah, we sure do.
Right? And we unfortunately know in your situation that there's a lot of Democrats that live on our planet, correct?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure does.
Right? And I'm not saying what I believe in by any means, believe me, and it's anyway. But so does that make sense? Now, things to tiptoe around, religion. This is a tough one. I've gone into homes and they've had shrines to the entire universe. You've got to be careful about this. It's just making them understand if they walked into another home and there was a satanic ritual thing in there, that maybe they would have a reaction to it in a type of way. Okay, cool. All right, so now we've got the home staged. Here we go for the secret sauce of closings, all right? So now make the magic for having a showing. So Anna, I'm so glad you're gonna have all of that prepped. Again, now for showings, the trick of this, Anna, is we want it to be light, bright, and smelling right, okay? Now, again, we're doing this virtually. I'm sure your house smells wonderful, but I also know you told me you had 3 Great Danes, right? And so taking a look at that, the goal is as much fresh air as we want in there. We don't want to blanket it with, Lysol and all this stuff. The goal is fresh air as much as we possibly can. And again, making sure that's right. And then again, just clean, light, and bright. We want your house to be as bright as possible because bright means big. And now, Anna, talking about showings, who wants to be the first point of contact for showings? Is that you or your husband, Chris?
Yeah, it'll be me.
Okay. All right. So that'll be you. And now you pull out your transition to close page and you just go, all right, first point of contact. You write her name down where it says first point of contact. All right. And then Chris, now, Anna, I know I have your cell number. What's Chris's cell number?
Yeah.
123 Elm. Yeah, 123 Elm Street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Great. Sorry, I'm doing fake addresses. Cool. Now, again, you're going to go through this list. Now, you're not going to ask him if you're going to put the lockbox on. This isn't in order. This is everything you're going to need to leave this house with the information. Now, Anna, also we talked about referrals. Now, I know you said you did need my handyman to come over and fix that door, correct?
Yeah, I sure do.
Perfect. And Anna, do you think that that would be best this weekend, or what time would you like him to stop by?
Yeah, Saturday at 2 works for me.
Perfect. Saturday at 2. Excellent. And now with the HOA, I think you said it was $250 a quarter. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, perfect. And now exclusions, we talked about the wall mounted TVs, yada, yada. So you're going to go through this, and now I'm assuming the close. So I'm already taking them through. Now, if they object here and they go, whoa, 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 handyman, hey, we ain't made no decision on you, Baldy, right? Like we're not doing anything there, right? Whatever and I've literally had someone call me that in an appointment. So they say that to you, you go, I understand. No, I just want to make sure I'm servicing everything you need before we move forward. Let's talk about, now I'll pivot. Let's talk about timeline then, Anna. So with timeline, again, you said that you'd like to be sold as soon as possible. Right now, today is Wednesday?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing track. Quarantine, Groundhog Day. So with today being Wednesday, what I'd like to do is have you be able to have the weekend to get everything fixed. We'll have photography scheduled for Monday. We'll launch the listing next Thursday, because we know on Thursdays, that's technically when the most agents and buyers look at the internet to set their showings for the weekend. Then we're going to start making phone calls, or if you're just you, I'm going to be making phone calls all week, getting everybody excited for our launch on next Friday. Take the property active, get all the buyers through the home virtually and or in person, have you under contract by Monday, and then have the inspection done and have you closed and sold into the new home by the end of May. Does that sound like what you wanted to do, correct?
Yeah.
Right, so so we got a lot to do, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
The nice part is, though, you don't have to really do anything, Anna. I'm going to do that all for you. So all I'm trying to do is make sure that I service all those needs for you. So now I've got all this information. Last thing we're going to do is go through the standard Colorado listing agreement. That basically is just a handshake between me and you, especially since, and I'm going to go right to this page. I go right to page, I think it's 7. Don't hold me to it. 9 maybe, I don't know anymore. Right to this page that has my clause in there with my 100% guarantee. So the last thing, I just want to go over the Colorado listing agreement. Go over, I don't say I'm going to have you sign or anything like this. I want to go over this with you really quick. And now, if you've already talked about price and terms and you're doing this virtually, you're going to stop and say, look, hey, while we were talking, or for 2 seconds, so we agreed on price, you have the exclusions. Excellent. You've emailed over to them the listing agreement. Now, you could just have this page saved, just like how I have, and just show them this page and say, well, great. The only thing we need to do to move forward, Anna, is talk about the Colorado standard listing agreement. The first thing that I want to point out that's extremely important is that we offer the 100% guarantee, and read it to them. The pledge of the barter group is to provide excellent service in the marketing and sale of your property. With this signed agreement, you have the unconditional ability to unconditionally cancel our listing agreement at any time unless the property is under contract. In addition, Anna, we have our commission clause in there that says 4.5, 5, and 6. So as I said, the rest of this is just so we have a guideline so I can get started on getting your home sold. So I've emailed that now. It's in your inbox. You're at your email, correct?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so just click on that link that says listing agreement, open that up, and then again, at the bottom of it, you'll see a square that says where to sign. Now, as we said, on page 3, that's going to be where the price is. Now, you can point out things to them if you want to point it out, but all we need now is a digital signature, and I'm ready to go. Anna, do you have any questions?
No, I don't believe so.
No questions. All right, let's pretend she did.
Okay.
All right. So now let's do 2 versions. We'll do on the phone and then in person. And again, if you want to stay on, I apologize. We went a little bit over time, but if you can stay for about 5 more minutes, I'll go through these kind of closing techniques. So Anna, the common objections we're always going to hear. Number 1, I want to take the night to think about it. Number 1, you're going to hear, or whatever, the night, I want to take some time. I want to take some time. I can totally appreciate that, Anna. Anna, you do feel I can get your home sold, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. So why don't we go ahead and do the right thing and put me to work? All you need to do is click in that little box and I'll get started. Okay, then you stop, you shut up. Don't start rambling on like some jerk off. Just shut up and then sit there awkwardly and stare at the Zoom until they do something, okay? Now, they're going to come back and possibly say, yeah, Brendan, we just don't do anything that fast. I completely understand. And again, this isn't fast, but you do want to be on the market next week, correct?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do want to be sold and be in the new Wash Park home by the end of May. Is that correct?
That would be ideal.
Absolutely. Or whatever their motivating factor is. So we got a lot to get done here. And Anna, this is why I love my company or myself or whatever it is, because we offer that 100% satisfaction guarantee. All you're doing right now is letting me go to work in advance for you. You wake up tomorrow and you feel for whatever reason, I'm not the right fit to get this job done for you. You call me up, we cancel the agreement, no harm done. That's why I have it in there. But Anna, I got a lot to get done. My entire team has a lot to get done, and I want to make sure we're on track. So all I need is a digital signature to get that started. Don't feel guilty if you wake up tomorrow and want to fire me or any of that. I'll completely understand, but let's get started. Okay. Next one. Let's go commission. Brendan, the other guy said he would do it cheaper, right? You know, I like everything you said, Brendan, but that's 6%. That's a killer. The other guy told me he would do it for 5%. Completely understand. And Anna, let me ask you this question, right? When we take this property on the market and start having buyers that are interested in it, if you have an agent that was already willing to negotiate his value down for his own commission, what do you think is going to happen when he gets an offer on your home?
Wow, I guess I never really thought about it that way. Probably wouldn't do a very good job.
Exactly, right? He's not going to negotiate on your behalf either. I'm going to negotiate on my behalf because I know my worth and I know how much your home is worth. And remember, Anna, a 1% difference in commission is going to be about $3,000, whatever the number is on the price value of your house. Most houses sell in $20,000 to $30,000 increments, meaning off of the actual list price. So with that, agents, right? My goal is to get you 102% asking price of your home. So again, that's what my average is. Do you happen to know what the other agent's list price to sell price ratio is?
They never mentioned it.
I'm assuming they didn't, because I guarantee you it's not very much, because they're not going to negotiate on your behalf. So any other questions before you sign about commission?
No, I think you addressed them.
Excellent. Anybody from the audience have one you'd like me to address while I'm waiting for that? So that's commission. We want to wait. Let's go with some simple ones, right? Have you sold any homes in my neighborhood? Or we don't know about your track record in my neighborhood. Completely understand, Anna, that you might have concerns about the amount of homes I've sold in the area. But the fact is, Anna, we sell our homes so quickly that you probably didn't see our signs go up at all, right? We have buyers because we're lead generating behind the scenes. I might even have your property sold before we put the sign up in your yard. So just because you didn't see us doesn't mean we don't sell a lot in your neighborhood.
Awesome.
Do you have any other questions before you sign?
Nope, but we've got a couple in the chat box if you want to handle them.
Let's go.
I want to pray about it.
Excellent. All right. So Anna, I completely understand. There's a funny one where I would just grab their hand and say, let's pray together. But don't do that. That's the funny answer, right? So I completely understand, Anna. And so taking a look at that this is a big decision. Again, that's why I offer the 100% satisfaction guarantee. So I hope you pray on it tonight. In fact, I'll be praying too that you call me up tomorrow morning and say we're still moving forward. But let's go ahead and get the agreement signed now so I can get to work for you. You pray tonight, make sure that you feel comfortable tomorrow, and we'll continue to move forward. Does that sound fair?
Sounds great.
Okay.
My house isn't ready. I want to remodel.
Oh, I completely understand. And Anna, taking a look at the photos, completely understand. Now, there's two ways we can go about this. You could spend all this money remodeling the property, and then somebody would look at the home and actually make the decision that they don't like what you've done. Or we can get the property as clean as possible, keep it in its current condition, get you the offer, and then you spend all this time putting the improvements into your new home and remodeling the new home. So I think it would make a lot more sense because of the current climate to get you to market quicker, because what we don't know right now, Anna, and this is the thing, with the current status, right now, here in Denver, we still have very low inventory right now, and we still have a huge buyer demand. I think you would agree with me that we don't know what that's going to look like in 6 months. And you did tell me you wanted to get the highest price possible, correct? What else?
Perfect. And then any other feedback you can provide if you're up against a Redfin agent or have an iBuyer objection?
Well, we shouldn't really have those anymore because they both have shut down. So, but if we did, right, they really have. You're not getting iBuyer offers right now. You're not getting, usually I think a third of Redfin is unemployed right now. They're going to be 50% by the end of, I believe, May of shutting that down. But simple things. So I think, Fabiola, I'm just going to mute you. Sorry, there's somebody there. There we go. There we go. Well, I don't know. Won't let me. Oh, there we go. All right. So looking at that, right? So now what we're really saying is a discount broker, right? So a discount broker, and well, there's two questions. Redfin's a discount broker. iBuyer is meaning that someone's willing to make an offer on my house. So let's go with discount broker first, okay? Very similar to the commission discussion we had before is, so Anna, as you said, I completely understand you were considering Redfin. I'm not really familiar with that company. I've never heard of them. But so with Redfin, you're telling me that they're going to do it for 4.5% or 1%. Is that what you were telling me? Okay.
Yeah, it just saves me a little bit of money.
Yeah, I understand. And Anna, you did go through everything that I just took you through of what it takes to get the home sold for the most money possible.
Wasn't
right? The marketing plan of action. All right, I took you through everything on what it takes to get the home sold for the highest amount possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do want that, correct?
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
So if you list with Redfin, they're going to do absolutely nothing and you're going to get the lowest amount possible. So in that instance, you're probably better off just putting it on Craigslist and hoping and praying a buyer shows up. Now, that's a strategy, but your strategy, you told me, is you needed every dollar. And for every dollar, I think you would agree for maybe $3,000 to $5,000 more in commission to make $50,000 to $60,000 more in purchase price. That could really help you in the new property, correct?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, then let's go ahead and do the right thing. Shut up and sign the contract. Just kidding. I don't say shut up. That's another joke, right? Next objection.
Thanks so much, but I do have another interview. I'm interviewing another agent, so I'll let you know how that goes, and then I'll see if I move forward with you.
Anna, and I go back to the first one. Anna, you do feel I can get your home sold, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely, I can. And so what I'd like you to do is put me to work today. No one's going to give you on this planet more energy, marketing, firepower. I'm going to work 24/7 to get you the highest price possible on the home. All I need right now is for you to put me to work. Now, you can just shut up and stop there. If you want to take it a step further, I understand you want to meet with, and who was the agent you were meeting with?
Sally from Remax.
Sally Struthers from Remax. Sally Struthers, yeah. Never heard of her, and I know almost all the top players in this business, but let's say that you still want to meet with Sally Struthers tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That's why I offer the 100% guarantee. Let's put me to work now. You meet with Sally. After your meeting tomorrow, you feel that she's a better fit for you, call me up. I'll tear up the listing agreement, no harm done. If I'm there in person, in fact, I'm so confident that there's not another agent on earth that can come close to offering what I offer. I'm going to go ahead and leave the lockbox here and leave it on the door. Here's the code for it, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you still feel it, keep the lockbox as a gift from me to you. Do you have any other questions before you sign?
Nope.
Okay. So we could go on for days, guys. And again, these are scripted techniques. The way we get good at these techniques are role play. Now you go, hey, my business, Brennan, is not like yours, you scumbag, where you're doing all this cold business and you're like, oh, right? Mine's with my friends, my family, my database. This is the people that need it the most. You need to wake up in your head. You guys that work with your family members, you're giving out so many freaking discounts that you're killing yourself. I talk to and coach agents all the time that they're like, my business is by referral, and so I don't blah, 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 blah. And you're going to your friend's house and you're getting 4.5% because they're like, yo, hook me up, right? Or you're feeling like you should give them sort of discount. This is to make sure that never happens. You can tweak these to be, very effective for anything that you need to do. So thinking about that, you've got to be relentless. Thanks for hanging in with me for an hour and 14 minutes. Right? The best salespeople are just assuring choices somebody we're going to make anyway. That's the entire point about being relentless. All right. If you still have more information, guys, I thrive off of your energy and I thrive off of your reviews. Can't thank you we've gotten flooded with so many great reviews lately and I can't thank you enough. If you can drop this so we can have more people that we can help, if you found that it was helpful, Again, tomorrow, how to sell. Now we talked about how to get the listing. Now I'm going to talk about, especially in this virtual world, how to get it sold, how to get it sold for the highest price possible, and how to make sure that you have a successful listing agent career that you can, again, have a massive amount of success. So if you have any other questions, Anna will stay on here for a few minutes. Again, see all of you tomorrow. I wish you great success.